is this the best car you can get for under £3,000? So this is a BMW E46 330ci, but it is an automatic. This is a BMW E46 330ci in lovely topaz blue with a natural brown leather, M Sport leather I must say, that the owner has installed, which I think goes very well with this blue. The 330 has an M54 B30 engine producing 228 brake horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque. The automatic does 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, whereas the manual can do 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. So being that this particular car is an M Sport, ignore the Lacquer Peel, it has different front bumpers, different rear bumpers, different wheels, shadow line, which is the black trim around the windows, different interior. There's quite a few differences between the SE and the M Sport. It has these aggressive fins at the front for a more aggressive sporty look, has some brake ducts to provide air cooling to the brakes, and extra Lacquer Peel. And let's not forget these sporty fins for the aerodynamics. The difference at the rear is this very small ducktail fin, again for aerodynamics, the twin pipe exhaust and this sort of plastic diffuser. So this is a pre-facelift car, but it has facelift brake lights, the LEDs. The pre-facelift brake lights are, I'll throw a picture up so you can see what they look like, but it's a very common swap. So common in fact, that BMW actually provide a OEM loom to adapt the facelift lights to the pre-facelift cars because they look so much better. Another difference on the M Sport is the side skirts. It's more aggressive, outward, sporty looking lip. One thing I love about E46s is how these rear windows open. Very cool, and they're electric. And it wouldn't be a BMW M Sport without one of these, an M badge. Any E46 owner will tell you, no one knows how to open the door handles properly. Let me show you what an interaction usually goes like. Come in. Up. Yeah. You just lift. So my first impressions, very good, very nice. I really like the steering. It's hydraulic steering and it feels very communicative. Big fan of it actually. It's a little bit light, but it does feel pretty good. Now being this an E46, I will be keeping one eye on the temperature gauge. I don't have a lazy eye, it's just I've got to watch it because they make the thermal systems out of plastic in the E46s, so they're very common to have cooling issues. So that is something to look out for if you're looking at buying one. I'm going to put my foot down. I'm not in sport, by the way. Let's see what this auto gearbox is like, see if it's responsive or not. My foot is going down now. That kicks down quite quick actually. Changes up quite slow, but picks up speed pretty fast. Nice NA power, decent amount of torque. Sounds good. Ooh, rides pretty good, comfortable, compliant over those bumps. So let's talk about the bad bits of the E46 in general, and particularly the 330ci's. Generally, they're very reliable. The 330ci's don't have any sort of specific issues compared to the rest. One of the good things actually on the subject of reliability is how many parts are out there for these cars. The E46 is a very common car, so there's lots of parts. A lot of the BMW parts between the E46 models, so the lower 320s and the 325s are interchangeable, so there's a lot of parts around, a lot of part availability, which means that the parts can be cheaper to buy as well. This particular car has over 133,000 miles on it. The owner bought it 3 years ago on 106,000, so he's put over 27,000 miles on it in that time, and it is his daily driver. Takes it on the motorway, does long journeys, short journeys, uses it for everything, and absolutely loves it. There's a huge community of owners. There's loads of BMW E46 enthusiasts, which I think is always a good thing when you're looking to buy a car, because you have countless forum threads on any sort of particular issue you may have, which you probably will have. But if you've got any sort of weird niche issue, you Google it, and there'll be some guy from 2012 who had the same problem and documented everything. And things like that are big when owning a car, especially an enthusiast car, an older car. Those can make a big difference to the ownership experience. So the interior of the E46, I think the interior is aged very well. I think these seats in this brown are very nice, by the way, so the owner, props to him there, because these brown seats with the blue exterior I think look really good, as I already mentioned. And I think the seats are comfy. They're not super buckety, not super sportive, but kind of what you'd want in this level of car. Comfortable. I do wish they were heated, which is one thing. I'm sure you can get heated seats in these cars, but You know, that's one thing I do wish they were heated. But the actual interior is pretty good. It's aged quite well. It is aged, but it has aged quite well. This is all factory. It's got this nice piano black trim, which is a nice option on these cars, very rare. The Speedo is very nice. It does obviously just remind you of the E46 M3, which is great. So yeah, the interior is very nice. It's very tactile. All the buttons feel very well built, to be fair. So even the steering wheel, you've got even the stereo feels very responsive. And I'm not going to turn that on. We'll turn that down. The indicators, I don't want to indicate here, but they feel very good. Everything feels very nice to the touch. It doesn't feel like it's worn too badly. Some cars you get in, everything feels a bit soft and a bit aged and like it's showing its time. This particular car is 24 years old, and when you're sat in here, it doesn't feel it. Yeah, some of the things are slightly dated, like I say, the little displays with the LEDs, but generally just as a feeling and comfort and noise levels, things like that, it doesn't feel like a super old car. So using the indicators now, you can feel very solid, very nice, good noise, good responsiveness, good indicators. The famous Doug DeMuro once said these are some of the best indicators in any car, which is ironic because BMW drivers don't use them. This M Sport steering wheel feels very nice. I like these little thumb grips, these bits that stick out here, just makes it feel sporty and nice. And as I said, I'm a big fan of the steering. It's probably the highlight of the car for me so far. I don't know, just very responsive, and it's a nice hydraulic system. I haven't driven a car with a hydraulic steering for a while, and yeah, I miss it. It does feel good. So do I think this is one of the best cars you can buy for under £3,000 in today's market? Even with this automatic gearbox, which a lot of people shit on and think is a waste of time, and a lot of people manual swap it or say just get the manual or get a manual 325i because the autos are shite. Generally speaking, it kicks down pretty well. It's very smooth in traffic. If you don't have a sort of specific need, i.e. drifting, or tracking, I couldn't see a particular reason to dismiss the auto in general. For £3,000, what other cars can you get in this sort of realm? So for the same money as to buy one of these, let's think about other cars you can get. So you can get maybe a Clio 182, one of the old Megans probably. You could probably scrape into a rusty EP3. I'm thinking about performance cars here, or enthusiast cars. You might be able to get maybe a Z4. There's quite a few options, but I think this is definitely one of the best ones. It's a coupe, it looks beautiful. I think these cars have aged so well, especially when you modify them, lower them a little bit. I think they look really good. So it's got that going for it. It's a rear wheel drive, 228 brake horsepower, 3-litre 6-cylinder. I don't think there's any other car for the price that has all of those things going for it, and generally reliable. And also super cheap to modify. There's a huge modification market for these cars, huge, which is always a good thing. So I do think they're one of the best cars you can get for under £3,000, but saying under £3,000, it's a bit of a white lie. You can get them from under that, but usually they're convertibles, rusty, super high mileage, bad record. For a good one, you're gonna look around probably, well, nowadays probably 4,000 or 5,000 for a good one. And if you want a manual, maybe a little bit more than that. But you can get them for lower. They do pop up every now and then for around £3,000. And I just think that's a great option for the money. I do think if you really want a manual car, obviously this is not the one, but if you're not that fussed, I do think this auto gearbox is good enough. Like, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the auto gearbox, to be honest. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not super quick to change up or change down. It is a little bit of an old-fashioned, a bit of a slosh box, as they say. But I don't think it takes away from the driving experience. We're on crunchy roads now. I'm enjoying the driving. I think the steering and the chassis and the engine sort of overpower the lack of manual gearbox. I do think it'll be better with a manual gearbox, but I still think it's a good car, and I think it's a great option for the price. But if you have to have one car that can do everything, I think this should definitely be up there. Would I buy it for £3,000? Yeah, I probably would, actually. I think if I needed one car that I needed to go to work in and still have fun on the weekends in, I think this definitely does that. Ticks all those boxes. And I think with a little bit of modification, these can look really nice. I think this looks nice standard, but lower it, maybe some CSL wheels, and I think they can really be elevated to the next level. So yeah, why not? Go buy one. Or at least drive one, see what they're about. And the auto gearbox is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not great, but it's not it's not that bad. So I'll leave you with that, and if you could drop a subscribe and a like, I'd appreciate it. I will be comparing this exact car to a modified example of a 330 in my next video. So if that is live, then you can click up here and watch it. If it's not live, subscribe, and it will be live very soon. Thank you for watching. Drop a like, drop a comment. Yeah, would you buy one? What else would you buy for £3,000? Let me know. I'm curious what you would buy. And yeah, cheers. Thanks for watching. And it wouldn't be above the face light. So main problems with the E46 is in general is the cooling, and in particular the